Now let's look at question 6. It says the graph of g of x is equal to x plus c and f of x is equal to a divided by x plus p plus q are drawn below. Graph g and the vertical asymptote intersect. Graph g and the vertical asymptote of f intersect at the y-axis. So graph g and the vertical asymptote. Okay, graph g and the vertical asymptote intersect here. Okay, so the x-intercept of the this graph of g, the x-intercept of this graph g is going to be the asymptote of this one, the vertical asymptote of this one, which is this one. Okay, and then they say write down the coordinate of c, or sorry, write down the coordinate of the x-intercept of g in terms of p. X-intercept of g in terms of p. So remember this coordinate here, x-intercept of p, it is the same as what? Remember, if this is positive p, it means here it's going to be x is equal to negative p. And this is just going to be what? Q. So if I can rewrite that in terms of what is this? P, the x-intercept, because the x is going to be the same throughout here. So I'm going to say the x, it is negative p and 0. This is how I would have said that. Negative p and 0. Now they tell you more information. They say graph G intersects the horizontal asymptote of graph F at x it is equal to 1. Okay, the horizontal asymptote it is this one. So what happens? The horizontal asymptote it is intersected by the graph of G. So the graph of G intersects it here at x is equal to 1. So the point of contact it is x it is equal to 1. But the value of q, you should be very important. The value of q is going to be, okay, the value of y here is going to be q because the y here it is the same. Okay, the value of q, so it's the same as that asymptote. So it has the point of contact it is 1 and q. Okay, the point of contact between this one it is 1 and q. And then let's continue. The graph of the graph what? The graph f. Oh, so okay, they say G intersect the horizontal asymptote of graph f at x is equal to 1 and the graph of f at x is equal to 3. So they also intersect here at x is equal to 3 here. This is x when it is equal to 3, like that. So it means, what does it mean? It means at this point, f of 3 it is equal to g of 3. This is the value of the function when x is equal to 3 is equal to the function when x is equal to 3. Okay, and then graph f and g also intersect on the y-axis. Where? On the y-axis. On the y-axis here. So on the y-axis, what do I know? That f it is equal to 0. So f of 0 it is equal to g of 0. So these are the information that I have. Okay, first one, second one, and the third one. And they should be very important in terms of helping me. Okay, helping me. Okay, now let's see. How can I determine the equation of f? So the first information that I can use is this one. I can substitute this point here on the graph of G. Okay, substitute this first point on the graph of G. So when I do that here, it's going to be g of x is going to be equal to, g of x is equal to x plus c. So I'm going to substitute the point 1 and q. Where do I take the point 1 and q? They intersect, this graph intersect the horizontal asymptote at q when x is equal to 1. So when x is equal to 1, y is going to be equal to q. So I'm just subbing that. It's going to be q, it is equal to 1 plus c. So this is what, nothing I can do about this one. I can just leave it as equation 1. And then I move on to f of 0 is equal to g of 0. F of 0 being equal to g of 0. How can we take care of that? F of 0 is going to be, remember f of x, it is a into x plus p plus q. So f of 0 is going to be, when I let x equal to 0, it's going to be a divided by 0 plus p plus q. It is equal to g of 0. G of 0 is going to be just c, because when I substitute 0 here, it's going to be c. But now, you still remember what p is. P, it is the same as now the x-intercept of this point. So C, it is the same as, remember, I can rewrite this one, the point here to be something like, this is the x-intercept. Okay? So for x-intercept, I let y equal to 0. So it's going to be 0 is equal to x plus c. Then x is equal to negative c. So this point can also be rewritten as negative c and 0. But they asked me to write it in terms of p. But now, can you see now these values should be the same? It means negative p is equal to the same as negative c. So it means in place of p, I can just substitute c. In place of p, I can substitute c. Okay? C, take note that this coordinate can be rewritten in terms of x. In terms of c, can be rewritten as negative cn and 0. So can you see if negative p is equal to negative c, it means p is equal to c. Okay, this is very important to notice. And then if I have that, but I still realize that, okay, so I can say, but now what is q? Sub q, remember I found q to be equal to 1 plus c. So I can say a divided by c plus 1 plus c, it is equal to c. And then I have a divided by c, it is equal to c minus c, it is 0. And then this one, I take it to the other side, it's going to be minus 1. So a is going to be minus c. Okay. If 8 is equal to minus c, any other information that can help me, I now move on to the information where that says f of 3 is equal to g of 3. F of 3 it is equal to g of 3. F of 3 is going to be what? I'm going to substitute a into a 3 minus c. Okay, 3 plus c plus q, where q I'm going to come back to that. Then x on this equation is going to be 3 plus c. But remember what is q? Q it is 1 plus c. And then I'm going to have something like 3a divided by, what is this? Oh, I already know a, by the way. A, it's supposed to be negative c. I can say negative c divided by 3 plus c. It is equal to c when it goes to the other side, it's going to be c minus c. And then 3 minus 1, it is 2. And then when I multiply that like that, it's going to be negative c. It's going to be equal to 2 multiplied by 3, it is 6 plus c to c. And then I get that when I take c to the other side, it's going to be negative 3c, it is equal to 6. And then it means that c is equal to negative 2. But if c is equal to negative 2, I can already come back here and say, therefore, a is equal to 2. Okay, and then what do I need? The equation of f. So the equation of f, I can now say f of x, which was a divided by x plus c, or p. C is the same as p, q. So the last thing that I need to get it is c. I mean q. Q, I can come back and say q is going to be equal to 1 plus c is how much? Minus 2. So q is equal to negative 1. Okay, so yes, let me use a different color here and say a is equal to 2, and then c is equal to negative 2. So that we differentiate our answers. So I'm going to say therefore, okay, it means the equation of f of x is now what? A is how much? 2x minus 2 minus 1. Does it make sense? We should also confirm that our answers, that do they make sense? A is equal to 2. When a is greater than 0, we draw on the first as well as the third quadrant, and that's correct. And then our asymptote, it is at q. Q is less than 0. Okay, in this case, is it less than 0? Yes, because can you see it's less than 0? It is here, below here. Okay, and then the horizontal asymptote, okay, it is negative, because here it's going to be positive. So it means when we go to a graph, it's supposed to be positive 2. Does it make sense that our answer is positive 2? Yes, it is on the positive ones. So this is how we will have maneuvered around this question. And then they say, describe the transformation that G must undergo to become an axis of symmetry of F that cuts F at 2 points. Okay, axis of symmetry that cut at 2 points. So basically, we want this graph to be this one, the axis of symmetry that we know that passes through these points. Remember, we have the one that is positive and the one that is negative, but the one that's going to cut into two is going to be this one. It needs to pass through the point of contact here. This is the graph that we are looking for, the asymptote rather that we are looking for. Okay, not sure if it's, but yeah, just basically that. So this is there. Remember, this is an equation of y is equal to, we can go back and check x plus c. C we know is -2, right? So this has an equation of y is equal to x minus 2. And then this one will have an equation of what? Now, let's find the equation of the asymptote. The equation of the axis of symmetry with a positive gradient, because can you see the one that cuts the graph twice? It is the one with a positive gradient. So how can I do that? It's easy, because I can say equation of axis of symmetry. Okay, equation of axis of symmetry. It's gonna be y, it is equal to x minus 2 minus 1. Remember, I take this part. And then this is just y is equal to x minus 3. And then now we know that g of x has an equation of x minus 2. So how can I shift this? Which transformation must be under, that you must undergo so that this becomes, so how can I g of x be transformed to y is equal to x minus 3? So can you see that we need to shift this graph 1 unit downwards? So you're going to say, therefore, shift G 1 units. Okay, it's just 1 unit downwards. And then you should be fine. Okay, it was a very beautiful and a busy question 6. Unusual. All right. Yes.